There is another mindset which believes in hierarchy, that I am above, which believes in fear, controlling by fear, which believes in violence as a tool, which believes in a singular entity. It doesn't believe in pluralism. You can't be different than me. You have to be me. Today, if you go to any common man and ask him, what is democracy to you? What that person will tell you. You ask what is democracy, what will you tell? What is democracy? He will say, everybody will say, what is democracy? What is democracy? There is something fundamental to the politico-economic situation. And as academicians, as people who understand these things, we have to know how to fight this. And the way to fight it is very simple. That the intellectual class should speak up, should write, should do what is necessary to at least say this is wrong and not to watch. This whole fascism survives on two major pillars. One is fear, another is hate. Whoever has fought fascism is very simple, that you have to use the tools of happiness and celebration. And celebrating differences is what our country is all about. In the preamble, they did not include the word secular initially. Indira Gandhi later added it. The answer for that was given by Baba Saheb Ambedkar. He said, see, our secularism is very different from French secularism. French secularism says the state will not go towards any religion. We will be completely neutral. If I have 3 people with hijab sitting here, for me it's a matter of pride. If I have tribal sitting in their own attire, for me, for the idea of India that I believe, that's pride. Here, and it's always a great pleasure, a matter of great prestige to come to Loyola. Being born and brought up in Chennai, Loyola means something to us. And it has always been in the forefront of many events in my life. I came to know about Loyola much more after I got into the social side of it. I always thought of it as a big academic institution. But then when I started working with people as such, then I realized wherever I go, to the most difficult places, I find a Jesuit place there. And for me, that summarizes what this organization is all about and why it has such a, it's still a craze in everywhere. In fact, in Karnataka and Raichur, where I serve, I'm still very close to all the Jesuit priests there, who have been working a lot in various areas. So for me, it's like a family where we are towards a very specific goal in the society. And this is not the very first time that we are in a crisis. We were, in many other crises, but this one is very special. And that's why I think we should be very threadbare in what we talk about. So today I will speak about 2-3 things, at least 3 parts. First, I'll try to, kind of give you an idea of what is happening, because it's very important to understand what is happening and to have a perspective of what is happening. Second, we'll have a part on what can be done, how do we fight this? And the third part will be about what should we do, where should we, what should be our strategy in all this. To start with, many people today, if you go and ask them, what is the crisis today? Can any of you, give your version of what is the crisis today? Anybody? If I ask you, yeah.
Fight of ideology.
It is a fight of ideology. Anybody else? What is the biggest crisis today? Religious fundamentalism. Right. Yes? Democracy is in danger. Right. Anything else? So people come out with these terminologies, especially the idea of religious fundamentalism, which is again and again, said in different terms. Some say communalism, some say religious fundamentalism, and many things. In my opinion, this is exactly not that. Yeah, it has shadows of that, but it is exactly not that. Then what is this? The way I see it, there is a fight going on in this country for a very long time. It is not today, it is not from 2014. Many people think it started in 2014. Some, like me, who are the 70s and 80s kids, will also tell that it started in 2002. No? 2002, you remember? For what? Yeah? So many people tell that it started then. But then I believe this is not something which started at that point. This is a fight which is going on in this country for a very long time. And this fight is between two mindsets. It is not between two political parties, or it is not between two religions, or it is not between two castes. It is between two mindsets. Now, what is this mindset? One mindset which believes in equity. There is a difference between equality and equity, right? I'm not going to go into the explanation of all that, but one mindset which believes in equality, that everything should be equal to everybody. The same mindset does not like hierarchy. I am not over you, you are not below me, that we are all in the same category. The same mindset also believes in the idea of brotherhood or sisterhood. The same mindset believes in the idea of love. The same mindset believes in the idea of acceptance. The same mindset believes in the idea of celebrating differences. It is not accepting differences. There is a difference between accepting differences and celebrating differences. And I celebrate your difference. I am not just accepting. This is one mindset. There is another mindset which believes in hierarchy, that I am above you, which believes in fear, controlling by fear, which believes in violence as a tool, which believes in a singular entity. It doesn't believe in pluralism. You can't be different than me. You have to be me. Right? This is another mindset. Now, these two mindsets you will see everywhere. You will see these two mindsets in bureaucracy. You will see these two mindsets within our own community. You will see these two mindsets even within the family. One will be of this mindset, one will be of this mindset. Anybody who has worked in any other firm would have seen two types of managers. One will be saying that, hey, when I come, you have to stand up. Another type will be, come on, let's do it together. Have you seen these two people? Yeah? You know them in your life? Right? These are two mindsets. And these mindsets have been fighting in India for a long time. We call them by different names. But essentially, it is these two mindsets. Right? Now, when we got independence, what was that independence about? What was that independence movement about? People will tell that we wanted to chase away the British. I don't agree with that. That is only 10%. Our actual fight was against what is happening inside the country. Why did Gandhiji, when he came to India, after going through entire India, he started becoming as poor as possible. He started putting his clothes out and said, I'm going to be like this, live in a ashram. Why did he do that? He did that because the fight was not only against the British. British was anywhere go. Now they couldn't bear this weather. 10 years, 15 years, they will run away. But his main fight was against this hierarchical mindset within this country. Right? For example, caste. Caste, what is caste? Caste is nothing but this hierarchical mindset codified in social structures. That is why Gandhi fought against caste. That is why Ambedkar ji fought against caste. So, this hierarchical mindset is what the actual independence movement was all about. That is why when we got freedom, Right? When we got freedom, you remember that famous speech by Nehruji? My question is, where was Gandhi then? Ideally speaking, the father of the nation should have hoisted the flag. Where was he? Can anyone say where Gandhi was? When we got independence on 15th August 1947, where was he? Not in Kolkata. Where was he? He was in East Pakistan, what is called Bangladesh. A village called Nagpur, where there was raging riots going on between Hindus and Muslims. Gandhi was there in that village, fasting, so that they will stop the riots. When he was called for the celebrations, he said, I am not going to celebrate. India is not yet free. And he, time and again in his time, kept telling that you have to build the nation. You know, what is building a nation? Building a nation is to destroy that hierarchical structure and make it even. Right? So Gandhi gave this sermon to all congressmen and also all people that now see, British is gone, but you are not free. As long as this hierarchical structure remains, you are not free. The freedom movement continues. But somewhere, we forgot Gandhi the moment we got independence. And so, we didn't bother to build this nation. We started going into our own power structures. Right. Now, the point is, these two mindsets have been fighting in this country for a long time. But during independence, the first mindset won. So, the first mindset wanted to create an India which is of that mindset. No more hierarchy, no more oppression, no more differences. Brotherhood, celebration of differences. And we wrote a constitution according to that. But even at that time, the second mindset did not agree with this idea of India. The idea of India was the first mindset which was in majority at that time led by Gandhi, Nehru, Ambedkar, wanted to create India in a certain way. And we created the constitution for that. But the second mindset did not agree with this idea of India. Because they don't understand this. Okay? Imagine if you go to your manager who's this hierarchical manager and you tell him, sir, from today I am equal to you. Will you agree? He's probably going to send you out of the office. Right? Similarly, these people, they never understood this idea of India. They are from different religions. They are not only from this RSS or this Hindu background. There were also Muslims. There were also some Christians who didn't understand this idea of India. That's why that group, one group, took another country and went, boss, this idea of India we can't be. This cannot be the idea of India. For us, our India should be this. We will be on top, you will be down. We will do this, you have to fear us, you have to obey our laws, you can't be free, you can't ask rights. And they said, no, we will go out. But whoever stayed here accepted this idea of India. And this constitution was made. Every single word in the constitution that you read will reflect this idea of India. But there was a huge chunk of people who never liked this idea of India. And they have been waiting for ages to get back power in India. You get this? And I'm not saying they are from this religion or they are this party or anything. There is a huge group of people who believe in that idea. Right? Next, for the next 50 years, let's forward. India was going and we were continuously building this idea of India. Some were fighting for this idea of India against the government also. Jesuits know very well. They have been fighting the government of establishment for a long time, for the tribals, for the underprivileged, for everything. But that fight was part of that idea of India. And it was not put down brutally by any government because it was part of the constitution. But the other group was patiently waiting to get back power because they didn't find a way to get power. They were trying their best, but they were not finding a way to overcome this idea of India. Right? Remember those times when we switch on the TV, we used to hear this song. Mile Suru Vera Kumara. Remember? That was what the government taught us at that time. Whatever thought came to us through education and everything was that idea of India. And the second group was patiently waiting for a weapon. When will we get this weapon to capture power? After 60 years, they found a weapon. And that weapon is called fascism. Okay? And when they got this weapon, they found a way to come to power. Now I'll have to explain fascism in a very simple term. Now people think fascism is a very dangerous term. It is not a dangerous term. It is actually a very simple idea. Right? I'll explain this to you. Let us say there are 100 people in a apartment, and there is an election for this apartment. There are two candidates who are standing in that election. What will each of them do? Both of them will do campaign. They will go to all the 100 people and tell them what? Vote for me, I will do good for you. Right? And if both of them do the campaign well, let us imagine. What is the probability that they will win? One will win. What is the probability? 50%? 50% I may win, 50% other person will win. So, me winning is not certain. Right? Now, let me go to another strategy. In this strategy, I am not going to go to 100 people. I am going to go to 90 people. And I am going to tell a story. That look, that other 10, these are the criminals in this apartment. They are the villains. They are the wild ones. They are against your family. They are against your children. They are going to eat you up. How to control them? I can do that. Vote for me. If you don't vote for me, these guys are going to get you. Right? If I do this story well, out of 90, how many do you think will vote for me? If I tell a good story, 60. If I tell a great story, 80. If I tell an excellent story, 90. I win the election. Got this? This is fascism. Just take 10% of your population out, make them criminals, make them villains, and then use the democratic process to win an election. You understood this formula? And this has been used worldwide by all these people who. How did Hitler come to power? Can anybody say? How did he come to power? No? Huh? Yeah? No. No. Do you know he won an election? Do you know he contested 3 times, lost 2 times, and won the 3rd time? And he came democratically into Germany. And you take any tyrant, they can use, if they use this strategy, they can democratically win an election. How did Trump come to power? Yeah, elections. Right? So, for fascism to survive, democracy is essential. Because only in democracy you can tell that story. Suppose if it was already authoritarian, you can't tell that story. You understand? Only in democracy you will be allowed to tell this story and still get away. Right? When this Ram Mandir thing happened in the 90s, 80s, 70s, yes, it keeps on happening, but especially in the 90s, in Advani Pupita, essentially they did was this, that they made the 12% or 13% of Muslims into villains, criminals, and they tried to consolidate the rest into a majority. Knowing very well, when election comes, because of the fear, this majority will vote for me. So this is politics of fear, not politics of hate. You have to understand this, right? Now, the point that I am trying to make is, now they are back to power democratically, right? But what is their original enemy? Their original enemy is not this 10%. This 10% is shown to win the election. But their original enemy is what? Huh? Yeah. Their original enemy is this equity. Their original enemy is their idea of, their original enemy is our idea of India, that everybody should be equal. And what they will want to convert is to create an India which is unequal, which is hierarchical, which they are the bosses, they can control everything. Which means, to tell it in another terms, their original enemy in India is the Hindu society which has become equal in the last 50 years. They want to go back to this. Right? You understand? They want to go back to this. And their biggest instrument that they want to target, which maintains that equity, is what? Constitution of India. We have to destroy that. If we don't destroy that, then these hierarchies are not going to come back. So we have to destroy that. We have to destroy the memories of equity. When they are demolishing the entire Rajpath, changing names, demolishing every symbol, what are they doing? They are trying to erase India was sometime like this. It tried to become equal. Right? So this is a fight for a hierarchical society and not just between Hindus and Muslims. Actually, they don't care. They don't care. Okay? So we have to understand, every one of you sitting here, I am second generation who's wearing a shirt. My grandfathers never wore a shirt. I'm sure in this place also there are people who are first time graduates. Second time, whatever, just come up from life. You are their enemy. It is not because only of your religion. Because you have broken hierarchy and moved up, which they don't agree with. So we have to understand and also make others understand. The majority of Hindu crowd, who are people who have come up, they are their original enemies. They are their original victims. And they are going to drown if these guys come. If this is going to sustain. So we have to understand this entire stuff from this angle. I hope I'm making sense. If anybody has a doubt, please ask. Because it's very crucial to understand that what is happening to India. Right? Now, they are in power. When a fascist force comes back to power, what they will do, that you have to understand. The first thing they will do is destroy intellectual growth. So their target always is universities. Their first targets are colleges. Their first target is where this education comes from, where this idea of equality comes from. It comes from colleges, it comes from school, it comes from curriculum. So their original target or the first target is institutions like ours. I am not trying to sound very scary, but this is the plan. This is the plan. And you can see it. If you start seeing it, you can see it everywhere. They are changing curriculum, they are demolishing institutions, they will come behind anybody who teaches equality, anybody who teaches courage, anybody who teaches small bit of what that India was. So that is why our institutions have to be very, very alert on these things. And we have also to create our strategies to fight this. Now, I am going on to the second portion because I think major of the discussion can be questions so that we can discuss. The second portion is how to fight this. Now comes the big question, how to fight this? What does history teach us on how to fight this? It's very clear. We have studied many fascist regimes and the solution is very clear. It is not at all a big rocket science. We have to understand this first. And second thing is very clearly not by fighting with it, but by putting our agenda in place. For example, let me tell you, the only thing that these people are afraid is public opinion. If public opinion changes, they will also change their stance. So, to create a public opinion, we need to educate. Right? For example, there was a question during Nazi regime that when the Hitler was doing all this Holocaust, what was the common man in Germany doing? That was a question. Right? Now, that question, the common man very easily answered. He said, Boss, I didn't know what was happening. I thought something good was happening. Hitler was telling us something, but we believed it. Then came a second question. What was the intellectuals doing at that time? Intellectuals are people who can read and write, who can see what is happening. What were they doing? Noam Chomsky wrote a very nice paper on this called What is the Responsibility of Intellectuals in a Society? Now, it's absolutely clear. It was a blunder, not by Hitler, or nor by the Nazis, but also equally by the intellectuals in Germany who knew very well what was happening and never did anything about it. Do you agree with this? So the people who are sitting in this chamber right now, including me, we are equal partners if we don't do anything against it. History has taught us this very clearly. Right? Now, I'm not going to go into, okay, it's very easy to target somebody and say, okay, this is happening because of this guy. Okay. But look at what is happening today to the world. Is majoritarianism only in India? Is only in India? Where else it is now? Can you tell me some more regions which have majoritarian regions now? Yeah? US, when Trump was there. Then, have you heard this name Bolsonaro? Brazil. Okay? Erdogan, Putin. They are all tyrants. They are all like Modi. But, if you take Europe, for instance, almost 40% of the countries have become right wing today. 40, I should say 60% has become right wing. Many countries are becoming right wing. So there must be something about this era where everybody is moving towards right wing. Everybody is leaving democracy and moving. So what is that? There was a very good philosopher called Hannah Arendt. Okay, she wrote a very good analysis of this whole thing. In the 1940s, she wrote, and she was herself persecuted by Hitler. She said, Boss, the way you are running democracy, no, it is not creating any meaning for people. Today, if you go to any common man and ask him, what is democracy to you, what that person will tell you? If you ask what is democracy, what will you tell? What is democracy? Huh? He will say, everybody will say, what is democracy? What the like of democracy, sir? Why is he saying that? Why is she saying that? Because after putting vote, you can't put anything. Can you put a pipe to your house? Can you do anything? No. Put what? Democracy over. So, Hannah told at that time, if you run democracy like this, why will anybody identify with it? They will all become identity-less masses. And then, one fellow will put one day come and give a new identity, saying that aap aaj se aap Hindu ho, aap mere se aata hai. And all these fellows will move behind. Aaj se aap ye ho, aaj se aap wo ho. Which means after that, that identity will be the most sought after. And people will go there. No, Hannah told, if you run democracy like this, in the next 50 years, you are going to get 100 Hitlers. And that's exactly what is happening. So it is also a global political phenomenon. So we should know how to fight this. That's the point I'm trying to come at. We should not be like common people tell us, Modi ko fight over here. No. There is something fundamental to the political economic situation. And as academicians, as people who understand these things, we have to know how to fight this. And the way to fight it is very simple. That the intellectual class should speak up, should write, should do what is necessary to at least say this is wrong and not to watch. Number one. Number two, this whole fascism survives on two major pillars. One is fear, another is hate. They will make you fearful. They will make you hateful. They will make you sad. Okay. I want to genuinely ask a question. How many of you in this room are genuinely sad about the state of affairs in this country right now? Right? We are all kind of sad of what is happening. Right? This is exactly what they want. Exactly what they want. To an inch further, they want you to be angry also. Right? Because it survives and thrives on that. Okay? They want you to be angry, they want you to be sad. My fundamental question is, a war has been going on in this country, not in this world, for the last 1.5 years. Yeah? Ukraine. Now Palestine. Now Iran has started bombarding Pakistan, whatever. Are we in such a situation? No. We are not in such a situation where we have to hide for bombs. So somebody is going to bombard us. No. Nothing like that. We are better off. Right? So my point is, nothing has happened so far. Don't be sad. Don't be sad. We are not fighting bombs and nobody is going to come to kill us. Yes, there is a political fight. But don't be sad for that. And don't be afraid also. And don't be hateful also. And all the three things has to be fought to fight fascism. And how do we do that? We do that by being at least bare minimum happy, bare minimum joyful. We fight it through our own sense of happiness. You know what? Right-wing people cannot stand. They cannot stand you being happy. If you want to really irritate them, you be happy. They completely become irritated. Seriously. They'll feel like, these fellows are doing. So, learn. We have to fight this through a collective effort of being happy, being clear in our thoughts, and bringing back people to this world, and making people understand who is actually the victim. So we just have a very clear thing to show people that you are the victim. They may not understand many times, but then if we have real happiness into our mind, we can make them understand. But we have to keep working on that, right? Our problem is we do it half-hearted, or we do it and then come back and say, "Arey, nahi hoga." 100 people may, 10 people say, "Sab nahi hoga." I agree with that. मगर बाकी 80 people है ना, वो आएंगे. मगर हम, if we see that 10 people and we think that nothing can change, then everything is gone. Okay? Today we have a word called bugs. In that word, we combine everybody. There are some bugs, I agree. But then there are many people who are not like that. There are people who have just gone there because somebody pulled them there. Just gone there, somebody said Modi is a great guy, he has built infrastructure, they've gone there. Just because they started supporting Modi, they are still supporting. Right? The same people will turn back if things are told properly. So the first way to fight is internally to be happy, to be joyful, and a great way to do this is art. Sometimes science people have this problem. We are very logical. Everything is 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus like that will go. Don't go there. There is art, there is music, there is so much of other things that we should support. Right? In God's work, do we use music? Do we use? Or we teach them in tables? We don't teach tables to them, right? We use music. Why? That's emotion. So, go into the heart and start using these happy things and how to deal with hierarchy and tyranny. If you have to really learn how to deal with tyranny, learn from the women of this country. They have borne the tyranny of men for ages, but they still have survived, and the survival mechanism is the same thing that I'm telling you. Okay? So we have to understand this. And we have to use celebration as a tool. Use celebration as a tool to propagate happiness. Before this NRCCA, I have never seen constitution being talked about. Have you ever heard anyone? In NRCCA movement, I was also a part. That's when I resigned my job and I started moving into all these protest sites and all that. Then after some time, I see every institution, including religious institutions, academic institutions, celebrating constitution. And I think that is a very late celebration, but we should have celebrated it much before. Right? Now, after we started that, I think we have now a very good tool in our hand to fight for. Today, if you ask anybody who is fighting, if you ask why do you fight, they'll say, I want to protect the constitution. Right? So, we have all these tools in our hands. We have the history and culture with us. We have this whole gamut of stories about the freedom movement. Okay? And we have to learn to tell stories. Okay? We have this problem of telling logic. Logic doesn't work. Stories work. We have to become good storytellers. We have to emote. We have to touch the hearts, not the minds. Okay? So this logic, talking, debating, and all this one side, okay. But then how much of it is coming from heart? How much of it is coming from actual love and affection? So my lesson from whoever has fought fascism is very simple. That you have to use the tools of happiness and celebration. And celebrating differences is what our country is all about. You know, once there was a question put to the Constituent Assembly. They did not include the word secular. Do you know that? In the preamble, they did not include the word secular initially. Indira Gandhi later added it. So, my question is, were we not secular at that time? Why they did not include? The answer for that was given by Baba Sahib Ambedkar. He said, see, our secularism is very different from French secularism. French secularism says the state will not go towards any religion. It will be completely neutral. But our secularism is not like that. Our secularism is accept and celebrate every religion. If I have 3 people with hijab sitting here, for me it's a matter of pride. If I have tribal sitting in their own attire, for me, for the idea of India that I believe, that's pride. That is the constitution. So just to not to give a different meaning, our forefathers did not add the word secular. So we understand what this idea of India is all about. We celebrate our differences, right? And that's what we should stand for. Be the religion, be caste, be culture, whatever it is. You are very different from me, and for that I have a celebration. And Tamilians know this very well. You know, there is no one person that I don't know who is waiting for his biryani on Ramzan, right? Huh? Everybody waits for the biryani. Why am I good morning? No cooking. My mother will not cook. Today biryani will come from Abdul's house. Christmas, every child in every house will put a star. Every child will join that carol. We all go in a carol. And Diwali, who doesn't celebrate Diwali? So many celebrations for us because we accepted that differences. That's the idea of India. And I think this idea itself is worth celebrating. And that should be our identity. I'm talking about high-end stuff, but for a common man, we have to make him understand that the actual victim in this whole structure is you. Okay? And we have to do that with a lot of love and affection, not with hate and horror stories. Right? Now comes the question, the third part. What I have to do. Right? I am a common man. What can I do? Now, it's as simple as, I don't have to explain this much. You do whatever you can. Right? You can't be coming to the road and protesting, or you can't sit and deliver a speech or whatever. But can you like a post? Do that. Can you share a post? Do that. What you can, you do. Can you sing a song? Sing. Can you write some poetry? Write. Can you write a story? Do that. Can you talk to four of your friends? Do that. And that is the way that we have to fight this. Every one of us will do something which is within our system. You don't have to cross the line. But one thing is very important. We will not keep our mouths shut. They talk about Desdroha. The biggest Desdroha is to keep your mouth shut at this point of time. And we have to open up. We have to do whatever is possible from my side. From whatever is my limit. This is my limit, I do this much. But then we have to do something. If we don't do something, then we are the biggest drogis of whatever our next generation is all about. And I told you that we have to, if they are swords, if they bring swords, we cannot fight them with swords. We have to become the ocean. Right? A sword can never cut the ocean. And the ocean keeps growing. It's big, it's vast, it's caring, it's loving. It's not sword. You don't take a sword and fight. Then you will lose. But then we become this whole ocean. So we take them with love and affection, but we don't become sad. First of all, we don't become hateful. We remain there. That comes with understanding of what has happened. Okay. Now comes this very, very big question. When injustices happen, what do we do? That's the major point that we have to understand. That we can't keep quiet. We have to voice out. If an injustice happens, we have to voice out, we have to gather together in some way. We still have that political space in this country. It is not gone. We can still use that political space to go forward. Right? Now, coming to the context of the election. Right now, we have another opportunity to fight these things. That is the election. Now, our primary reason why we have gathered is what should be our strategy for this election. Let me explain in 5 minutes what is an election. As I told you, election is a number game. You have to understand this is a number game. Suppose there are two candidates. How many votes one candidate has to get more than the other to win the election? So it is a game of one vote. So we have to think, how do I make this one vote more in that case? Right? And I'm sure every one of you here are influencers by yourself. Not one vote, you have so many votes here. And if we take that decision that I will make this count, this vote count. For an election, we have to understand there are two things. One is public opinion and another is voting behavior. Public opinion, I might talk good about father, I like him also. But will I go in the morning and stand in the sun and vote for him? No. It is very different from liking him. People might talk good about a party, bad about a party also. But will they vote? No. You have to do something more to make them vote. You have to push them. You have to personally touch them. You have to push them even before the voting day. Which political parties, unfortunately, except one party, which is in power, are not doing it that appropriate. So, as civil society, as people who can influence, we need to keep pushing this idea within our people that you go and vote. The rest we will see later. Right? So that one vote matters. But it is not that the political parties don't know this trick. They do this very well of pushing everybody to vote. Tell me when they will do this. Huh? Yeah? No? How many of you are from villages here? Yeah? Have you seen Panchayat elections? Huh? How is Panchayat election fought? सबसे वायलेंस कहाँ होता है? पंचायत इलेक्शन होता है या पार्लियामेंट इलेक्शन होता है? One vote also they will not leave. They will tie that fellow and come and bring him to vote. But they will not leave that fellow. They will do that during panchayat elections, but they will never do this during parliament elections. Because they don't find connection. That nobody has asked them. Nobody has made them invested in this election. So one thing that we should be doing, all this is to make them feel connected to this nation. That you have to keep hammering this stuff that your vote is very important for this nation, right? So it is all a vote game. We have to build three things for an election. One is a narrative, which is the story that you have to build. That story is very simple for us, and it is a truthful story also. If you don't vote today and get this government out, then you are the victim. That is the storyline. Right? Now add masala, whatever, you know how to tell the story. But this is the story we have to hammer again and again and again and again. Make that story more personal to them. Make that story, if I have to tell a story to him, I'm going to tell a personal story to him. I'm going to tell how this is going to affect your grandchildren, how this is going to affect your children. Right? That story has to be told. Secondly, we have to also find innovative ways of making people understand things. Right? For example, I will tell you, how many of you know this thing, Kuli Raja Kenachi? Yeah? Remember that campaign?
2002.
Yeah. There was a campaign at that time. Hindi mein kya hai? I forgot. Anybody don't knows that Hindi campaign? You don't know. There's some other name. Okay. So that government kept telling AIDS has, please be careful, nobody listened. Then they started a campaign. Big posters. Kuli Raja ke Nachi. Everybody was wondering what happened. Who is this Kuli Raja? That was the talk. And after 2 months, they said that Kuli Raja ke AIDS on the state. Then they went into why UK. Then they understood. Sometimes we have to tell stories in a different way to people for them to understand. In political jargon, we call this as campaigns. We have to do wonderful campaigns so that the story is told well. Right? And the last thing of the three pillars is micromanagement of voter. I need to touch my voter and say, boss, please go. Please go. If I don't do that, that person is going to sleep in the house of that. And when he sleeps, his family also sleeps. Right? So, all the three things. One is the narrative, second is the campaign, and third is this micromanagement. All the three things have to be done. You decide where you are effective up to whom. You have a cohort. You have a cohort of people. That might be women, that might be children, that might be farmers, whatever. Whichever cohort you are influencing, please make sure either of these three things you work upon. And this election you are pushing. Right? And we keep telling this to everybody that we met, so that there's a multiplier effect. And once somebody asked me that, is BJP going to fight Congress? And how are they going to fight? I said, no, BJP will not fight Congress. It will fight the people of India this time. It's not going to be Congress. It's going to be the people of India who are going to fight this fight. And that, I certainly believe, should happen with people like us. And if we don't take up this fight, like that Nazi era, where Hitler is not the biggest problem, we would be the biggest problem, that we didn't do enough to get this. Because our grandchild or our child is going to ask us that when all this was happening, what were you doing? And I have not found a way to answer this question. Right? So we have to tell that, no, I was not quiet, I was doing something. Okay, and all the youngsters I am seeing here, I'm in a way that you are in an era where we were, when we were growing, it was all, Y2K and who will go to US and who will earn the big money. But for you, you have a bigger challenge. You have also now to fight for this idea of India. It might be in my opinion, a very gifted era to live also. Like I keep wondering during Independence Day, when people had to give up so many things. So I resigned from my service, people keep telling me, now also, sir, you have made a big sacrifice. I said, boss, how many people sacrificed how many things at that time? Because of those guys, I came from a village and now I am standing as an IAS officer. What I gave was nothing in front of what they gave. So this is also a time to sacrifice. For all of us who are older people, I'm telling you, we cannot hide from sacrifice. A lot of people keep asking me, sir, if I do like this, will they arrest me? Will they put me in prison? What do I do? I said, boss, the first prime minister of this country, you know how many days he was in prison? 16 years Pandit Nehru was in jail. 16 years. Has any one of us gone for a day? No. Forget us. No political day also is gone. Right? And I have to talk about Father Stan at this point. So that is the courage, that is the commitment that we require. And that is only going to save our country. I am talking this to all the elder ones here. I keep telling I am in the exit launch. I have airport may exit launch, flight flight can take off. I have a duty to my next generation that I have to do some sacrifice to fight. And that is the thing that we have to do. The moment we understand this, the pathways we will find out. But we have to fight it with a lot of courage, a lot of joy, and a lot of celebration, and with the plural approach that we have, right? And finally, I will talk about only one sentence. I once went to a village, and in that village, I had a friend who was a Gandhian. We both went to the village, and this my friend of mine got a bunch of women, and he started explaining about ahimsa, satyagraha, and all the satya and all those terms. So after half an hour of lecture, the one woman stood up and came and told me, "Sir, I didn't understand anything he said, but she showed her friend that if anything happens, but I'll tell you one thing: if anything happens to this woman, no, I'll stand with her." And in that one word, she demolished all these words. The idea of standing with somebody is something which we have to learn. When you're sick at home, your father is sick, and you have to take him to the hospital. You call your friend, "Hey, bye, aajao." Wo bhi aa jayega. He'll also come. And do what? Nothing. He will just stand with you. He will not give you money or nothing. He will just stand with you. But that standing for somebody, standing with somebody, is something absolutely essential. Today, when bulldozers are going to break people's houses, are we standing with them? Whether we fight or not, that's a different question. Are we even going and holding their hands? That is something which we have to do. And we have to do this very openly. And if we don't do this very openly, we are all going to the same area that history has sent people to. So this is the time that we have to stand up with people who go through injustice and also fight this from a very, very open platform and also in a very celebrative and a happy way, right?